John Cameron Swayze.
Ed Huntley. David Brazier. John Chen. Tom Brokaw.
Shut down. A commercial helicopter brought down by missile fire north of Baghdad. 11 are dead, including 6 American contractors. And tonight, chilling videotape of the whole incident. You will see what insurgents did to a survivor of the crash. Pain at the pump, high gas prices taking a toll on households across America. The House passes the energy bill, but will it fix the problem? An NBC News exclusive tonight. Why was this man kept in prison for weeks, even after the CIA knew it had the wrong man? And pyramid scheme, those new food pyramids, competing claims about weight, changing advice about eating eggs. Why do the rules keep changing?
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. There was another first in the Iraq War today, and not a proud one. Today, for the first time, a commercial helicopter, the same kind that can be heard almost constantly ferrying contractors from one place to another in the skies over Iraq, was shot down outside Baghdad. We know there were Americans on board, and tonight we have a view of the aftermath of the crash and the disturbing scene when the insurgents come upon an apparent survivor of the crash. Our report tonight from NBC's Richard Engel in Baghdad.
U.S. and will stage nationwide demonstrations unless a government is formed soon. Richard Engel, NBC News, Baghdad.
And by a 99-0 vote, the Senate also today approved $81 billion more for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The supplemental spending bill will push the total cost of combat and reconstruction now past $300 billion. The Senate bill still has to be reconciled with the House version, but that is expected to be done quickly. The Senate also today confirmed John Negroponte as this nation's first national intelligence director. His mission to coordinate the nation's spy agencies after failures including the lead up to the 9/11 attacks and pre-war intelligence on Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, or the lack of them. Negroponte, who was sworn in just after the vote, will take over the task of the president's daily intelligence briefing beginning next week. We can report tonight some embarrassing revelations about a CIA mission gone bad. Last year, the CIA thought it had an important al-Qaeda terrorist in custody. CIA agents secretly detained him in Europe and flew him to an agency-run prison in Afghanistan in what's known as a rendition. But now, senior U.S. officials tell NBC News that the CIA realized early on it had the wrong man, but kept him in prison anyway. Our senior investigative correspondent Lisa Myers has our exclusive report.
Here's NBC News, Washington.
And now to a topic that is about to pop in Washington. It has already popped in a lot of American households. The price of energy, just as families start planning their summer vacations for this year. We have all angles of this energy story covered tonight, beginning in some of the highest gas prices in the country, the state of California. NBC's George Lewis with us tonight from Los Angeles. George, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. In a new poll out tonight from the Associated Press and America Online, 51% of the American people say soaring gas prices are starting to hurt them in the pocketbook.
Dennis Yellowhorse.
There's a new energy bill that has passed the House of Representatives, but what's in it and where does it go from here? And will it really address the energy needs of a nation that uses a quarter of all the world's oil? NBC's Chip Reed is with us from Capitol Hill tonight. Chip, good evening.
Well, good evening, Brian. Supporters of this energy
Consumers are getting squeezed at the pumps. House Republicans want to do something now.
The bill calls for $12 billion in tax breaks. It's most for the oil, natural gas, coal, and nuclear energy industries to encourage more production. A greater supply of energy, Republicans and some Democrats argue, will mean lower prices. The bill would also open the Alaska Wildlife Refuge to oil and gas drilling. Republicans say that controversial measure is a key piece of their strategy to expand energy supplies.
Do we just give up on energy policy and have gas be $3.50 a gallon next year? Or do we push forward the way that we have in the past and do what we think is right?
But even supporters of the energy bill concede it would have no short-term effect on gasoline prices. That means no relief for drivers this summer. Critics say it would make things worse in the long run because it fails to invest enough in alternative and renewable forms of energy.
This bill will result in an increase in gasoline prices, and it will not reduce our dependence upon imported oil from overseas.
Environmental activists say it fails to include the one thing that could have made a real difference in gas prices.
If Congress had really wanted to do something about gas prices, they would have enacted fuel efficiency standards for our cars and trucks to make sure that we go farther on every gallon of gasoline that we put into our vehicles.
Now, before this bill becomes law, it has to get through the Senate, where it is so controversial that it failed to pass just last Congress. Brian?
Chip Reed on the Hill for us tonight, thanks. And now across town, the view from the White House. NBC's David Gregory on duty for us tonight there. David, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Mixed reaction here. The White House is certainly happy that Congress is acting. The president has said this week, look, there's no quick fixes here, no magic wand to make gas prices go down, but taking a step at beginning to speak to the shortages in the energy sector is certainly a positive step for the government to be taking. However, the White House does not like a key provision in this House bill, tax giveaways to big energy companies to look for more oil and gas. The president has said, look, that sends the wrong signal when gas prices are this high. He wants more money for renewable energy, for conservation. So look for the White House to look busy on this bill to try to work out differences between the House and the Senate and keep working on it as the summer driving season is upon us.
David Gregory at the White House. David, thanks. We'll take a break. Coming up next this Thursday night, NBC News In Depth. The woman who friends say was born with a passion to help the less fortunate. Now they're mourning her death. And later, Americans hungry for a little clarity when it comes to anything involving nutrition information.
Let's talk about better. Topping the active list on 40.